Hello and welcome to the Pixel Pintura workout where I color what you color, and we're going to be coloring Stephanie's digital painting today. She's got it all painted out already and we just have to fix it up. Okay, so this one looks like it's got a lot of light on top, but it's too colorful, so I have to shadow down the bottom part to bring focus to the face. And since the shadows that she did are rather strong, they're almost black, I will have to make the lights as strong as those shadows. So it shouldn't be as colorful, and it should have a lot more brightness to it. So I'm adding that light now. Let it flood a bit more of the face. I'm going to add some of that glow, which is character's part of the character is, she's got glowing eyes. So I'm just going to add that under her brow. Add a bit more shadow. Fix up a few things with the face. Just, Stephanie just needed a bit more time and sharper brushes to get some of the finer details down. I'm going to add a few more reflected lights into those dark shadows. Not all shadows have to be black. And doing a bit of flipping just to see whether or not it still looks good if I flip it one way or I flip it another. Working off of a reference here where I noticed the ears are supposed to be a little pointing upwards a bit more. So I'm fixing that now, and using what I understand about ear anatomy, I'm also kind of like painting ears in. A bit more light, as the face is getting a lot of light, it's going to reflect into those shadows on the face. Fixing up the lips. A bit more of that light on top of the upper lip. A bit more light also into those dark shadows. The neck is going to have a lot of reflective light. Now I'm going to fix up the jewel on her chest. That needs to be a bit harder. You got to use hard brushes. Also, the lights just above her chest, her breasts, that have to light up. It's kind of dark there. So I'm going to add some light there using an airbrush. So keep it smooth. The armor doesn't look like armor, so it's got to sharpen up. Need a bit more sharpness, contrast. Testing it with another layer of shadow. It was kind of good. Like the light is just falling on her front. So I have to clean up the wings as well. I don't want them to be the focus, but I also don't want them to stand out because they look totally different from the quality of the face right now. Okay, so I've got a few layers on there now. Basically 2 shadow layers and a paint over layer, which is paint over regular brushes. So adding a bit of those highlights will make the armor appear a little more solid, less like fluff. Okay, working up the chest. That's the fun part. Okay, so now we're adding a bit more color to the face. Trying to get the chin not to look too weird. Remember, I only got like 10 minutes to work this into the video. We're going to be putting it on YouTube, so I won't exactly be able to finish the entire painting, but this painting took actually around 18 minutes. You'll notice I'm cooling down the hair a bit. It's a bit too hot with that red, so I added a bit of that pale pink. I'm seeing if I could also bring back the wings into the darkness so as to focus more of the attention to the face. A few details on the gem that's on her chest. Also have to fix the connection of the jewel to her armor. There's a bit of skin in between her shoulder pads and her straps. paint that in as well. You have to use a combination of various tools to create both sharp edges and soft edges. So if we use hairbrush to create soft edges, we use a hard brush to create hard edges. Adding a bit of cold light on top of much of the foundation warm light that I've already put down. It's very useful to do that. If your light was cold, you'd want the final highlights on your character to be cold as well. Well, at least colder than the warm lights that you put in. Excuse me, I got a message. Yeah, it's from my doctor. Anyway, here's me lighting up the face some more, adding a few more touches with the dodge tool. You know, you can get the computer to do the work for you, or you can just figure it out yourself. Just if you're really good with color, you don't need to use these dodge tools. Fancy stuff. You just always get your color picker and choose the colors that you want. But if you want a computer to actually do the thinking for you, you can actually use the dodge tool and various other blending options. Well, her face doesn't look too bad now. Except for that weird funny thing that goes into her mouth from the left. Actually, this painting right now has been flipped. The original painting is actually flipped the other way from the view we're looking at right now. It still looks good. Sometimes you forget which way it was actually flipped in the first place. Okay, adding a bit more substance to the chest armor. It's gotta have a few. It's gotta feel like a bit more like leather. Fixing up the arms a bit because they look like they weren't really formed well. We have to make sure that the shoulder pads cut a harder shadow onto those arms. And given a bit more time, probably would have made a lot of other soft areas sharp. Lots of the areas here are soft, and they need to change if you just had more time. Yeah, that's quite a big difference right now. If you could zoom back to the very beginning of the video and actually take a look at Stephanie's work. We've done a lot already. Sharpened up the face a lot. Also made sense of the lighting. I'm just adding a few more details of lighting using the dodge tool and other tools that I like to use. I'm going to see if I can put some reflected light of that gem into her neck. Chin. So if I had more time, I would actually keep her wings. But so far, so good. That works pretty well, yeah. Like I said earlier, if you got really strong shadows, like what Stephanie's work started off with, you got to introduce strong lights. Almost to the point of washing out a lot of the color. You know, it's a sacrifice that you might feel that you're doing to be washing out all that coloring that you did. But in order to save the piece from looking wrong because of the strong shadows versus a very colorful character, you do have to bring in a lot of that glare, a lot of that white, washed out white. And if you leave your colors really strong, the white just will have too much to compete with, so you gotta wash out some of those colors. So we're almost done with this. I just like to thank Stephanie for submitting her artwork for me to color on. Hope she likes this. And, for those of you who are interested in taking up a Pixel Pintura workout, just send something you've colored already along with the line art. If you don't got line art, I'll probably be coloring over it, just like what I'm doing here with Stephanie's work. So you can see the difference with that and the original. Thank you very much. Do visit us on Facebook and also on pixelpintura.com.